Hey, what is going on, my specialist SPC here, and welcome back to the channel for a brand new video. So guys, today is the first of a double feature here on the channel, and for this video I'm going to be doing the 10 movies that people hate that I personally really enjoy all the way to love. And just so you guys know, I am not going to be doing this double feature alone. My buddy AJ from the AJ Reacts 2 channel is going to be joining me. I will put his channel down below in the description. You guys can go head on over, check out his list of films that he loves that people hate. And we are also going to be dropping a video tomorrow that is going to be our 10 most overrated movies of all time. So it's going to be an extremely interesting couple of videos we're going to be dropping. And just need to throw this out here for everybody, just because sometimes people kind of forget about it. This is all subjectivity. I'm not going to sit here and say that, these are, fantastic films by any means. These are just movies that I like. I totally am going to understand if you disagree with each and every single one of them that I'm going to put on here. But again, subjectivity is a huge thing. If you guys want a huge example, go check out my short of my Star Wars movie rankings that I've gotten. You'll see all the comments disagreeing 100% with my ranking. But with all that being said, let's get into the 10 movies that I love that people hate. And I'm going to kick things off with a film from 1998, and that is going to be Godzilla, starring Matthew Broderick. I know for a lot of people this is not a true Godzilla film. They compare this a lot more to something like Jurassic Park, and I totally get it. But if I'm being honest, that's why I really like the film. If you guys would ever see a Godzilla ranking for me, I'll be honest, it's probably my third favorite of the entire series. I enjoy the New York setting. I enjoy what they do with Godzilla. I enjoy all of the little versions of Godzilla that pop up in Madison Square Garden. That whole sequence is probably one of my favorites in the entire film. And to me, it just has such an atmosphere with the dreariness and the rain and all of that. So it's a film that works a lot better for me compared to things we have gotten nowadays in Godzilla, except for -1. I will probably say that's my favorite Godzilla film as of right now. But to me, it's just, I enjoy it because it is similar to Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, for context for this, is my favorite movie of all time. So that's why I give that film a lot of credit. That's why I enjoy this version of Godzilla. Again, is it fantastic? Honestly, no. Some of the CGI doesn't really hold up all that well here in 2024, but it's a film I can sit down, I can have a bucket of popcorn, I can just watch it for pure enjoyment, and that's why it's going to be here at my number 10. Number 9 for me is going to be The Thing from 2011. And let's just quickly get this out of the way. I know the CGI in here is garbage. There's behind the scenes footage of practical effects that were going to be used in this film. And I know you cannot even compare it to the 1982 classic by John Carpenter. But to me, I think this is a good prequel that leads into the original John Carpenter's The Thing perfectly. It has the same mood and atmosphere. It has that same mystery. It adds more to the lore of how you can find out if somebody is actually the Thing, or they use fillings in teeth and stuff like that. I think it's really cool. Mary Elizabeth Winstead, she puts on an awesome performance. She's an actress I've always enjoyed pretty much anything I've seen her in, even something like Final Destination 3 that I know a lot of people don't like. Unpopular opinion, adding on to this, that's my favorite of all the Final Destination. I just think it's a good prequel. CGI aside, again, it's atrocious. I will willingly say that. That is my biggest negative of the film. But for somebody who's just a casual fan of the Thing series, it's a film I can sit down, I can really enjoy. And again, I just think it leads into that original film just magically. Number 8 is going to be Alien 3. And I can totally understand why all you die-hard Alien fans despise this film. I'm going to willingly say this right here, right now. My favorite film in this franchise is Aliens. So I know it's, for a lot of you guys, it's probably not going to make any sense why I enjoy Alien 3. It's my third favorite right now in the franchise. I don't have a personal love for this franchise, you know. I do really enjoy it, but I'm somebody who got to it very late in life, so going into Alien 3, I always heard it's the worst. People hate it. It ruins what comes before it, and I can totally get it. That opening 90 seconds, I know for the die-hard fans, can just completely ruin the film. But for me personally, I think it really adds on to Ripley's story. I think it's a good continuation. I love how this goes back to that classic horror roots that the first Alien film does. I enjoy the atmosphere of this film. I enjoy the setting of this film being in a prison-type planet, because it just has its own weird little like ambiance and stuff to it that really just adds to it. The practical effects are great. Once again, much like the previous film we just talked about, the CGI is not very good. This is one I've always enjoyed, and again, I totally understand the hate. There's going to be a couple of films on here I'm going to totally understand why you guys hate them. For me, I think Alien 3 is a good send-off to the Ripley character. It's a good way to end her cycle, I guess we can say, or her story. Again, I know with that ending, if you watch the assembly cut when the chestburster pops out while she's falling into the lava, I know it's not great, but to me personally, I just think this is the most overhated film in the franchise. It does things so well. Again, I think it does the horror very well. On par, personally, to me, again, of the original Alien. It's just a film I enjoy. I like I said, I totally understand why you guys don't like this film. I'm gonna link up here real quick. Just want to do a quick little plug. I did a specialist ranking back last August where I ranked 5 different franchises in the sci-fi action genre. Alien was in there, Terminator, Predator, Planet of the Apes, RoboCop. You guys can go up there and check that out. If you want some unpopular opinions, go check that one out. You'll see where I put Alien 3 in that list. But again, it's a film I can sit down, I can enjoy. I don't hate it as much as everybody else does. So, Alien 3 at number 8. Number 7 is going to be Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. Now, the reason I really enjoy this is because this is one of very few films I actually have some nostalgia for. Right before this film came out, they actually released a video game where you were a first person in there. You got to actually, you know, play as the T-800 and fight in the war, and then you go and you play the entire film. So I have that nostalgia for being able to sit down and play that with my brother. And then heading into the actual film, I still have this story where my mom's boyfriend at the time, his brother wanted to take me to a movie. I wanted to go see T3. Obviously, of course, I was young, so my mom didn't want me going to see it. So we went to the Hulk. I snuck out to go to the bathroom. I found the theater where Terminator 3 was playing, and I walked in. I stood there for like 10 minutes watching the movie. And it's the part where Arnold is going after John Connor in the Air Force base, so that part always sticks out in my mind. I know nobody likes the jokey Arnold in here. I don't entirely mind him. I think it is far worse in something like Terminator Genesis, one of my least favorite movies of all time. I don't mind the representation of John Connor here by Nick Stahl. I don't think he's terrible by any means. I just think it's a good continuation of the story. You got a great new character in Catherine Brewster, played by Claire Danes. I think she is great. I think the third act is awesome. And even still to this day, when I watch the final like 5 minutes of the film, when the bombs actually launch and drop, I still get chills. This is one film that's always stuck with me for that, for personal reasons, but I don't mind this film. I can sit down, I can enjoy this for what it is as well. I think it's an awesome third chapter of a trilogy, and I'll be honest, there's even times where I watch T2 and I go to T3. There are even times I like T3 more than I like T2, and that's because I got to T2 very late. Again, I can totally understand if you guys don't like Terminator 3. And I guess continuing on the 3 streak, we're going to go with Jurassic Park 3. Now, this is a film that has a totally original story. Doesn't go really with anything that's come before, especially in terms of the novels by Michael Crichton. I love this film. This is my second favorite film in the entire Jurassic Park franchise. I think this does the practical effects almost on par with the original. I love that we get Alan Grant back in this film. He's one of my favorite movie characters of all time. And I just love the dinosaurs in this film. They're just so intimidating, so scary. CGI, once again, not the greatest, and I'm not really also the biggest fan of some of our new side characters, especially the one played by Téa Leoni. She is aggravating to watch on the film, but I just think this is I would consider this more of a sequel than I would something like The Lost World. 'Cause I'll be honest, I don't like The Lost World very much. There's only a couple things in there that I like. I just think this is a better sequel to the original Jurassic Park. Getting us to go back to the second site, being able to go through everything that we saw that Ian Malcolm went through in the second film, I thought was a nice little callback. Again, to me, I just enjoy this so much more than any of the other sequels in this franchise. And again, I just think the practical effects and the monster designs and all of that, I just think are seriously on par with the original Jurassic Park. Alright, you guys, getting us into the top 5, and these are probably ones that I will say people probably just hate and despise the most. So again, I'm gonna say it again, all subjectivity, so I totally get if you guys are gonna disagree with me in all these. So I'm pretty much ready for the comments to blow up, but here we go. Number 5 is going to be Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Now, I will always tell this story. When I left the theater back in 2017 when this film came out, I left kind of numb. I didn't know how to feel. There were elements I loved, there were elements I hated. But over time, I have come to really like this installment in the franchise. I do think that this is the best version of Kylo Ren we get. Kylo Ren is my 3rd favorite Star Wars character of all time. I just think that visually it's stunning. I love the action in this film. And I'm going to say this again. I know you Star Wars fans are going to disagree with me, but I think it is so fascinating, and I love what they do with Luke Skywalker, how he just kind of has this like conflict of faith of what he's been doing over the years. And I think it's a good way for Luke to really build himself back up. Obviously, too, I know for a lot of people, the version we got at the Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian, that is their Luke Skywalker. But I just am so fascinated still with this film and things that they do. I will still say, Rose Tico, not a fan. Don't like anything they do with her. Finn, I don't know why they did what they did with him in this film either. He's one of my other big problems. The whole Canto bite sequence, all that really does is shows that, everybody can be a criminal. And some of the comedy just doesn't really land or work for me, like watching Luke throw the Skywalker saber over his shoulders. Still not a big fan of it. I really do think there are elements in this film that work so well. And the Force connection between Rey and Kylo, I just think is so fascinating. And it's a brand new Force ability that they can be on 2 separate sides of the galaxy, and they can just make it look like they're sitting literally right in front of each other, but they're both seeing completely different landscapes behind them. Again, I know why everybody hates it. Again, I know people don't like the Luke Skywalker stuff. I know people are not a fan of Rey. I totally understand, but this is a film I have genuinely come to really like, and I have put it a lot higher on my Star Wars list than probably a lot of people do, but The Last Jedi, man, breaks the top 5 here. And possibly even more controversial, number 4 is going to be The Rise of Skywalker. This is a film I loved when I walked out of the theater. When I actually left the theater, I was literally in tears. Some people else left the theater in tears, but for completely other reasons. I just think this film is just so beautiful to watch, you know. I think Rey, I think she does really good in here. I love, again, what they do with Kylo in this as well, and we all kind of saw the redemption thing coming, so I think with what they did do with Leia in this film was very respectful to Carrie Fisher. And even to how they send her off, I don't mind it. I enjoy it. I think it has a good, deep meaning to this story. It's great seeing Luke back. I feel like some of our characters kind of go back to the way they were back in The Force Awakens, which I'll be honest, my second favorite film in that franchise, one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. And I think it is a good send-off to the saga. I can willingly say this. I do think Return of the Jedi is a better overall ending to Star Wars, but I was still satisfied with what I got when I walked out of the theater. I'm one of very, very rare people who does not mind Rey saying she's a Skywalker, because I look at it, she's not truly saying she's a Skywalker. She's just continuing the Skywalker legacy that Luke started. And even to some elements, I guess you can even say, too, that Anakin started way back in the prequel. Again, I just think it's a good film. I can sit down, I can enjoy this one just mildly more than The Last Jedi, just because I think this is a more serious film. I like the final battle. I do think it is still kind of weird, and it's still mixed on it of Palpatine's return to the franchise, but The Rise of Skywalker is a film I will hold dearly in my Star Wars ranking. And again, it's a film I love that a lot of people seem to hate. Alright guys, we are here at the top 3, and if you guys haven't, make sure you guys go down below in the comments section. Let me know the 10 movies that you guys love that many people hate, because again, it's all subjectivity. I'm not right, you're not right. It's just how we feel about movies. So, but heading into the top 3, these are 3 horror movies, because I'm both a huge Star Wars fan as well as a huge horror fan. So, but bringing us here into the top 3 is going to be 2022's Halloween Ends. Now, I will say, when I went to this in theaters, I was very conflicted when I left the theater, kind of similar to how I was with The Last Jedi. I thought as an overall horror film, I thought it was great. I honestly, if this would have been like the 4th chapter in a quadrilogy, Michael Myers wouldn't have been in this film. I'll be honest, I would have gave it the same score I gave it now, but I just sat there thinking that as a Halloween film, I did not enjoy it. And I waited until this film dropped on DVD. I bought the DVD, and I still waited a handful of months to watch it again. I didn't watch it from theaters to the time I watched it again was about 9 months. And when I sat down and I rewatched Halloween Ends, I just saw it with completely different eyes. And a film a little bit higher up is going to be part of the reason why that happened. I enjoy the Corey Cunningham story. I think it is just such a fascinating story. And if you guys don't know the little background of how this script kind of came around, it is from John Carpenter's Christine. It's a very similar story that you see in that film. So if you guys did like Christine, that is one reason why I like Halloween Ends a lot. I'm still kind of mixed on Michael Myers, because he is my second favorite movie character of all time. So I'm still slightly conflicted with him getting beat up by a 20-something-year-old guy when you see him at Halloween Kills, and he's just an unstoppable monster. I think this is the best acting by Jamie Lee Curtis in this entire trilogy, because she seems more like an actual human character unlike the attempt at being like a Dr. Loomis character in Halloween Kills and trying to be more of a Sarah Connor character in Halloween 2018. I think this is the best acting from her, as well as Andy Matichek. This has honestly one of the best scores in the entire Halloween franchise to me as well. And the thing I gotta say I like about this film more than I like about 2018 and Kills is that this film is so much more serious. It does have a couple of little things of comedy in here, but it's a much more serious Halloween film compared to the previous two. And I do think it is a satisfying ending. I kind of wish the fight at the end of the film would have been a little bit better and it would have just ended after Laurie kills Michael. Because I think the procession scene is just a little bit too much. That is still one problem I have with this film, is that I think that procession scene was just a little unnecessary. But yeah, man, Halloween Ends, I've come around to it so much. It went from a 3-star to a 4-star film for me. And again, if you guys watch Christine first and then you go and watch Halloween Ends, I really do think it's going to help you kind of understand the story a little bit more. Number 2, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 remake. This is a film that when I see pretty much anybody's ranking, it's usually either the very bottom or it is right above. And again, I get it. But man, to me, this film is just shot so beautifully. It has some of my favorite visuals in any horror movie ever. I can willingly say, man, I like Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy. I think he is terrifying. I think the line delivery he does is creepy. Not a big fan of the makeup and the CGI they do with it, and even just the CGI in the movie in general. This film has some of my favorite nightmare sequences. I love when they have the micro naps and they like switch between the real world and the dream world, especially the scene where Nancy is in that pharmacy and she's crawling down that aisle and it keeps switching between the aisle and going into the boiler room. I think that sequence is just phenomenally shot. The actual ending, I'm not the biggest fan of the ending, but I can willingly say, man, if this film would have had Katie Cassidy as our lead for the entire film, I'll be honest, it might even go up another half a star for me at least. I can get why when they kind of go more into the, we'll just say the darker background of Freddy, if you guys know what I'm talking about. That's great. If not, I'm sorry, I'm not going to go into context about it because we're not going to talk about that here. Again, it's a film I love. I didn't get to see this in theaters, but I did remember going to watch this immediately after it dropped when we still had video stores. I went to the store, I went to go and buy it. And I'm going to willingly say it, man. It's probably one of my favorite horror remakes of all time. As far as a Nightmare on Elm Street ranking, I'm going to save that for like later down the line. It's a film I totally understand why people hate it, but man, I'm not one of them. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. But taking us into the number 1 spot is a film that I will tell you flat out was my least favorite film of all time, my least favorite horror movie of all time, and my least favorite Halloween film. I will tell about the time of Halloween Kills. And it is now in my top 3 favorite Halloween films of all time. And that is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. The first time I watched this, I had no clue what I was watching. This was such a strange and wild film to me. It just did not feel like a Halloween film. It didn't have the Halloween score. I didn't like what they did with Michael. There were really no characters except for Annie and Sheriff Brackett that I liked. So for years, I put this film in the way back of my shelf and I never touched it again. But then when we get to the new Halloween trilogy, and I'm going to continuously say this if you guys haven't heard me talk about Halloween 2018 enough, it changed the way I look at the Halloween franchise. There are films I used to despise in this franchise that I have come to really like. There are films I really used to like, and they've kind of gone down on my list quite a bit. I love this film now. I love how different it is, and again, this is the film that also gave me a new love for Halloween Ends, because weirdly enough, the same day I watched these back to back, and I think it's great. I personally think this is Rob Zombie's best film. That's not saying much, because I really don't like a lot of Rob Zombie's films, period. I love what they do with Michael Myers. I think it is just so fascinating when the only time he wants to kill is when he puts the mask on. He's just a wandering bum, so you don't really know what he's been doing. The theatrical version, I will say, is still my favorite. I'm not a big fan of the, however you want to word it, the director's cut of this film. I really enjoy what they do with Laurie in here. She's a lot more likable in the theatrical cut. And when she just slowly descends into madness, it's just, it fits, it works. This is a film that's really just a character study of three characters, the three core characters of the Halloween franchise: Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, Dr. Loomis. I'll just tell you right now, I hate Dr. Loomis in this film. I've tried to get over it, but to me, Dr. Loomis is the heart and soul of this franchise. Not in this film. I'm sorry, I hate him. Just genuinely. I can understand why he does the things he does, but just, it doesn't work for me personally. The camera shots, the lighting, the mood, the atmosphere, that is what makes this film. Even what makes it really unique too as well is the fact that you don't get the Halloween score in here at all, literally until the end credits. So it's just got this weird, creepy, unique score to it that really adds to what you are watching on the screen. And of course, you can't talk about Halloween 2 without, of course, talking about that heartbreaking scene of Sheriff Brackett finding Annie's body after Michael has killed her. It is easily one of the best performances I've ever seen of Brad Dourif in any film, period. So I still to this day, I'm still in shock of how, like, completely 180 I have turned on this film. I love it. It is a phenomenal horror film. It's my third favorite Halloween film, and like I said earlier, it is the best film that Rob Zombie has ever made. So, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 takes the #1 spot. Hey guys, that is going to do it here for this video. Again, make sure you guys go down below in the comments section. Let me know the 10 films you guys love that people hate. And of course, too, obviously, respectfully, if you completely disagree with all the films on my list, let me know down in the comments section below. And once again, guys, go down in the comments below or go up here and go check out AJ's video of the 10 films that he loves that people hate. And stay tuned for tomorrow, as you guys are going to see our 10 most overrated films of all time. So, with that being said, you guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you in the next one.